Welcome back to Touring the AFC South. I'm your host, Mike Patton, and we're going to go a little bit further south. I'm in Nashville, of course. We're going to go a little bit further south. It's been an interesting time this offseason in Houston, and it's about to get even wilder as the regular season is about to get started. To talk about all things Houston Texans, I figured I would bring someone on that, a little bit more tied to the city than what I am. So from KYOK AM 1140 AM and FM 92.3 in Houston, we're welcome everybody. Sports director Andre AJ Jones.
How you doing, Mike? I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. Of course, I don't know a ton about Houston. I know what I hear and who I talk to, but it's always good to talk to somebody that's actually there. So.
Well, Mike, let me go ahead and set it off, man. The food is better in Houston than it is in Nashville, man. So I want you to just rest with that and know when you come to town, I'm going to introduce you some real good food.
Well, hey, I will say this though, we do have hot chicken up here, so you might want to get on
that. Yeah, that Nashville hot is legit. You're right. You're right.
Well, it's the original version is better when you're actually here because all the ones that try it, they really can't do it like we do here.
I hear you, man. I hear you. I just had to start off with a little parting shot because y'all have all the history from the Oilers. It's crazy that the Texans can't do Oilers throwback gear because all of that belongs to Nashville now.
Yeah, no, it's quite interesting. I can't even really speak on it, but I will say this. And probably I give it about another 15 years. It probably will change because the Titans throwback jerseys will be the original jerseys they had in '99.
Yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right.
All right. So just want to give everybody a little bit more context in terms of you. How long have you been doing radio, and more specifically, how long have you been doing it in Houston?
So I've been in radio probably since before most folks were alive. My first job in radio was right out of high school in 1982. I worked for WYLD in New Orleans. And, man, I was very green, didn't know anything about radio, just kind of got a tip that I wanted to go down to a radio station and be a gopher. And that's what I did. I got to Houston in 1989, worked for a radio station here called KCOH. And then I got over on the family of KYOK because they own like 9 stations. I got there in 2002 and been doing sports since 2005.
Man, wow, it's a lot of history there.
Yeah, man, I've been doing it. It'll be 40 years for me in radio next year.
Wow. I mean, congratulations.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Look, I started when I was real young.
Oh, man. Can you tell us about some of the highest points in following the Texans there?
Highest points. Wow. I remember when the team first got on 2002, they beat the Dallas Cowboys. That was nothing bigger than that. Probably another big thing, though, was when they got their first playoff win. And we didn't think we were going to see that coming anytime soon. There have been several highs. One of the things that I had against the previous administration under Bill O'Brien, they really didn't have any signature wins other than winning the AFC South. So, they didn't have any major wins that we could point back to and say that was a signature win. But those wins previously were good wins under, the first head coach and then Gary Kubiak.
Well, I definitely had to start off with some positive things because, we do have to go down what is currently we're looking at with the 2021 Houston Texans. Now, it currently in one of the best times in the organization, obviously. Can you tell us what the feeling is around this team this season?
Well, it feels like it went from being one of the better run organizations in the league to clearly one of the worst run organizations in the league. May rest in peace. Ever since Bob McNair left, there's been a noticeable change. And, just not naming names, but people in that locker room seem to point to when they brought in Jack Easterby. They feel like that's when everything went south. And Cal McNair is just totally devoted to whatever Jack Easterby says, up to and including getting a search firm to come in to help with the GM and head coach search. And he literally went against the people that he brought in to help him with that search and listen to Jack Easterby and brought in Nick Caserio. Wow.
Can you explain to everybody who Jack Easterby is?
Jack Easterby is unexplainable. We don't know who he is. I call him the Pope of the Texans. He is an advisor to the owner. I think he has a title, vice president of something, but more than anything, he has the ear of the owner and his wife, and that's the role that he plays. And he's just been really causing a lot of confusion on the top. When you have a guy like Andre Johnson, who does not say a word, say that what Jack Easterby has done since he's been at Houston has been the root of all the problems that they had since, that speaks volumes about who or what Jack Easterby is.
Definitely does, because we all know Andre Johnson doesn't talk very much.
No, of course, one of the was he with the Titans when Andre Johnson got in a fight with one of the defensive backs for the Texans, one of the defensive backs out there.
It's Cortland Finnegan.
Cortland Finnegan, yeah. So other than that guy, Andre doesn't say a whole lot or do a whole lot verbally or physically, other than score touchdowns and catch major passes.
Well, I will say this though, that game actually brought I guess I would say it brought new terms or new life to the term Beats by Dre.
Look, speaking of, I'm trying to hold my beats in as we speak.
Oh my goodness. Now let's see. Of course we do have to talk about the situation with DeShaun Watson.
Right.
Of course, his name keeps coming up in trade rumors. What do you think of how the situation is going on down there between him and the organization?
The craziest thing to me was when DeShaun showed up for training camp. I now get it now. It was a very strategic move by him showing up. They have to pay him. And they can't say that he held out. They can't shine any more negative light on him than already what's out there legally. He's done everything that they've asked him to do, according to head coach David Culley. I've been out at training camp several occasions, and the time that DeShaun walked out to the media and said, "Why y'all always filming me? It's the same old stuff." Basically, what he was saying is nothing's changed. I'm out here working. I'm out here doing what they've asked me to do, and nothing has changed. So there's no extra stories or extra attention that needs to be given to him. It's a shame that it's gone this way. It's a shame that he is not QB1 right now, and they have not worked him in at QB1 in any of the training camps or during any of the preseason games.
Well, I definitely I didn't actually expect them to kind of, put him in there because, of course, he does say he doesn't want to play for him. So I kind of didn't expect it anyway. But, hey, it is what it is, I guess. Do you ever see him playing a game for the Houston Texans ever again?
I'll say this. I don't expect him to. I don't know when and where and how they're going to pull off a trade, but I don't expect him to suit up as a quarterback for the Houston Texans. Right now, he's listed as third on the depth chart. But I will say this. If I was David Culley, I would definitely be asking questions. What's stopping us from starting this young man? Because clearly he gives them the best chance to win. And if they're in a win now mode, then, that's what you do. But clearly they're not in that mode.
Yeah, I definitely, to me, I don't think, I've talked to plenty that have said about, them trading him and things like that, but I don't think it's possible to trade him really right now with all the legal issues out there.
Well, I'll say this, it's possible, it's not probable. One of the things that's really holding the deal up is the fact that Bill O'Brien and Jack Easterby traded DeAndre Hopkins for nothing. They traded him for nothing, and I know for a fact that Cal McNair has said, we're never going to do that again. So what they want for DeShaun Watson, they're in no hurry to take less than that because he's only costing them a little over $10 million this year. That new big contract does not kick in until next season. So he's not costing them a lot, and they're not going to give him up for less than what they want. So that deal is not going to happen unless they get what they want for him.
Gotcha. But do you think other teams are looking at that legal situation and I don't know if we want to give up anything for him because of that.
Yeah, clearly they are, and that's the smart thing to do. But if you're a team that has a veteran quarterback who's only 1 or 2 years left in his either contract or career, and you got a chance to get a DeShaun Watson, redshirt him, and see where the chips may fall, that's not a bad business decision. Especially where there's a team where there's already a QB1 that's serviceable that you can get by with. Because, again, there's a very realistic possibility that this situation could get settled out of court. There's a very realistic possibility that the league doesn't do anything until after the season. So there are teams that, might want to look at that and see if they can take that shot now.
All right. Definitely brought a lot more insight there than brought a lot of insight there, I should say. Now, of course, we can't spend the whole time talking about DeShaun Watson. There are other players on the team besides him.
Yep, absolutely.
Now, I will say this. Did the performance of the team in the preseason give you any hope that they'll be better or they'll be better than some think they will be?
Yeah, I've been around for a little bit, so I'm a little bit more pragmatic when it comes to preseason. You had a team that went 4-0 in the preseason and lost 16 games. You had a team that went 3-1 in the preseason and went 1-15. There were a lot of things that I think that they were working on, that they were looking to do. Whether they saw those things or not, I don't know. But the 53-man roster that they ended up cutting down to is interesting in a lot of factors. I think the running back position is going to be very interesting with Mark Ingram and Philip Lindsay. I think Tyrod Taylor at QB1 was definitely hands and shoulders above every other quarterback in camp, not named DeShaun Watson. The defense minus J.J. Watt, we have no idea what that's going to be. It was statistically one of the worst defenses that the league had last year. So those are the kind of question marks that people are looking at outside of DeShaun Watson.
Gotcha. Now, is David Johnson, what is the situation there with him?
He's there, but Philip Lindsay and Mark Ingram outperformed in training camp. I will say this. I was more impressed with David Johnson this year in training camp and preseason than I was when he came in last year. And I think part of that was because they didn't have training camp, that he didn't have a lot of time to get acclimated to the playbook or what have you. But David Johnson had some, a burst and a quick first step that we hadn't seen in a long time. He's hitting holes like he hadn't done in a long time. But he's on the roster. He's listed as the backup to Philip Lindsay right now.
Gotcha. Interesting. Definitely very interesting. Now, of course, we talked about the team. Of course, we got to talk about David Culley.
Yep.
What do you think of the task ahead for him this season?
Let me say something. One thing that I have grown to appreciate about Coach Culley, he is one of the most energetic, positive coaches that I've been around. Obviously, he was, he's the antithesis to Bill O'Brien, whose positivity seemed fake at times, and he could be as negative as they come, especially with the media. So does that translate to wins and losses on the field for David Culley? I don't know. I will say this. He's going to get out there. He's going to work hard at his job. He's not going to give us the fictitious answer. Oh, yeah, we lost because I didn't coach well. We got to coach him up, got to coach better. The stuff that we got under Bill O'Brien. I hate that this is his first opportunity as a head coach. I would have liked to have seen him in a better situation because he's really a great guy. What he does, wins and losses, nobody knows.
Now, they brought in Lovie Smith to be the defensive coordinator. And, for those that aren't familiar with Lovie Smith, look at the Rams defense under him. Look at the Bears defense under him. They got after people and they made some things happen. And also, they forced turnovers.
Yep.
What do you think he can do with this defense this year?
We've already seen them win the turnover battle more than they did, last season under O'Brien and under interim head coach Romeo Crennel. It's ironic that Lovie comes back to Houston as the defensive coordinator to help clean up the mess that Bill O'Brien put together, because at the time that Bill O'Brien was hired, the number one contender was Lovie Smith. So here you have a guy who should have been brought in as a head coach coming back as the defensive coordinator to fix things. And I just think that speaks volumes about his character and about his desire, to put together great defenses. We've seen a lot happen in preseason with his defense. Question is, will that be the same case in the regular season?
Now, offensively, and I know they don't have a lot of pieces that a lot of people know. How ugly could it get this offseason? With this offense?
I mean, look at it this way. They won 4 games last year with DeShaun Watson healthy, throwing for over 4,500 yards, far more touchdowns than interceptions on the ratio. But then, again, you just look down this roster and you just wonder how much more can they get out of this roster with Tyrod Taylor and not DeShaun. One of the things that they held over was the offensive coordinator, Tim Kelly. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not a fan. He gets very conservative. He gets very predictable. I don't think defensive coordinators are going to lose sleep over a Tim Kelly, Tyrod Taylor, kind of offense as they would somebody else. They did bring in Pep Hamilton, though, to be the quarterback's coach and to help with the offense. So I think that's a positive. But Tim Kelly just hadn't quite gotten over that hump just yet. Gotcha.
And final question I got for you, and I know you probably, may have an idea on this, might not, but do you know what the plan is at all down there with this team?
Like I said, it's being run by 3 guys that I just don't think they get it. I'm not saying that they're not smart football people, but, I'll give you another example. Look at the Raiders under Al Davis. Look at the Raiders under Mark Davis. Look at the Texans under Bob McNair. Look at the Texans under Cal McNair. And then Cal brings in, Jack Easterby, who, again, we still don't know what that's about. Nick Caserio is in his first general manager position, but it's that New England way. It's almost like, they feel like New England has such a great game plan that they just want to adopt everything that New England does. Just because you can dance like Michael Jackson doesn't make you Michael Jackson. And that's why I don't know. I have no idea what they're doing, which direction they're going in. And I feel bad for the good folks that are on that team and in that front office that are trying to make this thing turn around.
Gotcha. Well, hopefully for Texans fans, you get to see some exciting plays, some unexpected wins, and just experience some joy with this team. And I just want to thank you again, AJ, for coming on. And if you would, tell everybody what you where they can find you and what you're working on.
I appreciate it, man. They can definitely find me at Lunchbreak KYLK, at Lunchbreak KYLK. That's on for Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Working on a whole lot. Of course, I'll be covering the Texans this year, but we also are developing more of a HBCU focus with our station, and I'm real excited about that. So I've already covered the Celebration Bowl, the MEAC SWAC Challenge, already covered the Labor Day Classic. I'll be at the State Fair Classic in a couple of weeks, and then, of course, the Bayou Classic. So really looking forward to that. But also, again, let's see what these Texans can do every game here at home. So that's what I'm working on.
Now, I will say this, it's always been a debate. The funniest thing is you have UT, which is University of Texas, versus UT, that's University of Tennessee. You also have Texas Southern University and Tennessee State University. So here's what my proposed thing I would think. Let's have TSU versus TSU in the classic game. Battle of TSUs.
Yeah.
And then UT versus UT, which that's going to happen more than likely in the SEC in the battle of the UTs.
Yeah, what's interesting is right now Texas Southern is struggling. So I'll give y'all the edge on the TSU there. But, man, Tennessee, I'll give the Longhorns the edge on UT over UT.
Definitely. Thank you again. This has been Touring the AFC South with Mike Patton.